You know, today is the International Day for Persons with Disabilities, and we're going to have a next conversation as I talk to Qushiba La Fleur of the Ministry of Social Development. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me here.
And tell us what is happening with regard to the Ministry for International
Actually,
Day.
I'm one of the NGOs that fall under the Ministry of Social Development.
Right.
So I'm with the Association for the Hearing Impaired, the Trinidad and Tobago Association for the Hearing Impaired.
Yes.
I know today we have a symposium that we're attending at UE. It's the UE arm, the Disabilities arm of UE is doing that particular symposium. So we'll be attending that from 10 to 1 today. On our end as an organization, we had our AGM last Friday, the 23rd, and we're actually now celebrating for the history of the organization, which is 75 years old, a first deaf president of the association. So that's a huge thing for us in celebrating. Yeah, it is. We also have our entire board now are deaf-friendly persons. We call them supporters of the deaf or persons who work in the
language as well.
Most of them do. Some of them are now learning. So they're not as fluent as, but most of them are fluent in sign language and have been working in the community of the deaf for a number of years.
So we're seeing developments. What about Braille? As a matter of fact, I believe one of the elevators in the BHP Bulletin building has Braille on the elevator.
But Braille is more or less for blind.
What's wrong with me this morning?
Yeah.
You know why I would say that? Because when I take off my glasses, I really can't hear. I don't understand how that happens, but I think that's what went on there. But certainly in terms of that question, though, I was making the point of Braille being for blind, yes, but organizations opening up and putting more than just a ramp for a wheelchair to say that I'm disability friendly. What are you seeing with regard to
sign
organizations
language? Well, what we've been doing for the last few years, 2 or 3 years now, we've been kind of promoting the development of sign language, the inclusion of it in society. So what we have is like Ministry of Social Development, the courts, TTPS, immigration, they all now accessing the use of sign language interpreters more often. And we also started doing a sensitization program this year. So we assisted with the ministry and a couple of other organizations that work with us, not NGOs, but companies, to help in explaining more about the deaf, sensitizing them on deaf culture and the importance of sign language. A lot of people think a deaf person should be able to just read a script or write something and have them read it, but it's more, it's a lot more than just that. So what we're promoting is that we use sign language, and the promotion of sign language is important because that's the language of the deaf.
And I'm thinking, in my brain, how can we integrate sign language into even show like this? So that person.
Let's start the conversation.
So are you able to sign?
I can. I'm not an interpreter though. My son is deaf, so that's why I got involved in working with the community. I'm not a sign language interpreter, but I do sign.
But you can sign
to
communicate with him. How old is your son now?
He's 20 now.
Okay. And was he deaf from birth?
Yeah, he was.
And what was it like raising a deaf child?
For me, it was challenging only when it comes to education, because the education sector of it all is very challenging for a deaf child. Most people think that it's a normal syllabus that we should be using, and the child could just go into a regular classroom and sit, but it's not like that for deaf. Deaf children have to learn in their own space, in their own natural language, which is sign language. And we really haven't reached that point as yet in education. However, we've been working with the Ministry of Education to kind of help push things forward and evolve. So we're looking at next year, hopefully we'll have some more conversations that things will actually start happening. But that was the most challenging part for me. My family is just one of those who just accept and move on. So we accepted that he couldn't hear well. I learned to sign, and we all communicate with him very normal, and that's it.
And what is he doing now? Is he fully integrated into
He's working OJT now. Because of the challenges of his deafness, a lot of deaf persons can't get regular jobs because of the communication challenges. So he applied to OJT, and they actually placed him with us in the association because there are only a few places that they can actually go to work. So he's there right now working with us.
Did you see Unique, but different, Unique Not Different, hosted by Shamla? You need to go on the internet and see that one.
I was looking at her from outside.
And last week she interviewed a deaf person who married his interpreter.
Yeah.
You probably know who that is. Yes. So tell us once again what's happening with the event.
Well, this week, what we're having as an association, we're doing for the first time a tree lighting ceremony at the organization compound. It's particularly for, we manage the 2 schools for the deaf, Cascade School for the deaf and Audrey Jeffers School for the Deaf. So we invited all the children, we invited their parents, our teachers, and some specially invited guests who would be coming to assist, who would be just sitting in
Yes.
and assisting us in lighting the tree and stuff like that. So that's a major event. But this week we actually focus specifically on our first deaf president. And that's a
Yes.
very big thing
That's
for the
a big,
organization.
significant.
Very
yeah.
significant, because it's the first time in history we have a deaf president leading our board, and the entire board are persons who are of the deaf and hard of hearing community. So that's really significant for
Well,
us.
congratulations to
Thanks.
you all, and continued success and progress as you integrate persons who are hearing impaired or deaf into the society.
We will, and we should have that conversation to include some sign
Yes,
language.
we
and
will. We definitely will. Even if we can't do the entire show, certain segments
Some of it. No
So
problem.
thank you very much,
you for
Qushiba La
having me.
Fleur, and you are with the School for the Deaf.
The Association for the Hearing
Association
Impaired.
for the Hearing Impaired. And remember, today is the International Day for Persons with Disabilities.